This season isn't going to be about vibes or potential anymore. It's going to be about results. And some dudes on this Raiders roster, they're officially out of time. It's now or never. We've got 3 players, maybe more, who are walking into the biggest seasons of their careers. Not just for the sake of the team, but for their own future. Guys who were hyped up, drafted early, given second chances. But if they don't show up in 2025, they're done here. And we need to talk about that. No fluff, no sugarcoating. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Now, I know it's that slow stretch between minicamp and training camp, and Raiders news is quiet. But this is exactly when we need to start thinking bigger. Step back. Look at who really matters this season, who needs to pop, and who might not make it out of the year in silver and black. Let me start with the one player I think has the most to prove, and that's Malcolm Koonce. And here's why. We've already seen the ceiling with him. That Christmas Day game against the Chiefs, he was the reason we won. He wrecked everything they tried to do. Without Koonce stepping up like that, I don't think we win that game. And he was the reason Antonio Pierce got the full-time head coach job. He was that important. But then came the ACL tear. No snaps in 2024. And now he's back on a 1-year deal, trying to show that what we saw at the end of 2023 wasn't a fluke. And the pressure on him is different than it is on a guy like Tyree Wilson. With Tyree, we don't even know what the ceiling is yet. He was a high draft pick, yeah, and expectations were high. But he hasn't had that dominant stretch yet. He hasn't put together a string of games where you say, that's the guy. That's our pass rusher opposite Max Crosby. With Koonce, we have seen that. We saw it when he went on a tear and racked up all 8 of his sacks after Week 9. That's why this is a make-or-break season, because he's already proved he can be the guy. Now he's got to prove he can stay that guy. And if he doesn't, he's gone. Raiders aren't going to overpay on hope. They've done that before, and it's burned them. The other thing with Koonce is that his success unlocks the defense. When he's winning his matchups, it frees Max. It means we don't have to blitz to generate pressure. And if you've watched this team closely, you know how badly we need that. We don't have elite corners. Our linebacker room is thin. So the only way to cover up those flaws is with pressure up front. Koonce and Crosby together can do that, but only if Koonce is healthy and producing. That's why PFF and just about every analyst who's paying attention is calling him the Raiders' make-or-break player this season. He's got the most to gain and the most to lose. Now, let's talk about Michael Mayer. This one's a little complicated. I still think Mayer is one of the best tight ends from his draft class. I still think he's a future TE1 on a lot of teams, but he's not TE1 on this team anymore. That's Brock Bowers. And that changes everything. The Raiders didn't draft Bowers to be a backup. They didn't take him to play second fiddle. They drafted him because they think he's the kind of player who can change the offense. That means Mayer either finds a way to make himself indispensable as a second tight end, or he shows out enough to get interest from other teams once his rookie deal is up. And let's not forget, last year was rough for Mayer. He dealt with off-the-field stuff, injuries, and inconsistent usage in a broken offense. He's reportedly in better shape now, both mentally and physically. That's good. But he has to back it up. Because if Bowers is commanding double and triple coverage, Mayer is going to get opportunities, and he needs to cash in on every one of them. And if something happens to Bowers, knock on wood, we're going to need Mayer to step into that full TE1 role immediately. No excuses, no drop-off. This is a pivotal year for him. Either he proves he's starter level in this league and earns himself a future contract, or he becomes another talented tight end buried behind a superstar. Now we move to the quarterback, Geno Smith. This one is fascinating, and to be honest, a little risky. Geno had a strong season a couple years ago, won comeback player of the year, made the playoffs, threw for a bunch of yards, kept the Seahawks competitive. But that was a low-pressure situation. No expectations. Just do your thing. This is different. This is a team looking for stability, a locker room trying to turn the page, a fan base that's been starving for consistent quarterback play since forever. And now Geno has to be the guy. No excuses, no underdog label to hide behind. He's got the weapons, he's got the coaching, and most importantly, he's got his guy Pete Carroll in the building. That's a huge factor because Carroll believed in him when no one else did, and now they're back together in Vegas. But that also means the pressure is on. Because if Geno struggles, if he starts turning the ball over like he did last season, 15 interceptions, by the way, that leash is going to be short. Raiders fans have been patient, but they're not going to sit through another year of bad quarterback play. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Apparently, Tom Brady, yes, that Tom Brady, was the one who said no to Sam Darnold this offseason. According to multiple reports, Brady had a strong influence on the decision-making process and pushed for Geno or Matthew Stafford instead of Darnold. And that tracks. Because Darnold, for all the upside, still hasn't proved he can play consistent winning football when it matters. He faded late in the year in Minnesota. The moment got too big. That's not something Brady's ever going to be okay with. So they went with the safer pick, the more proven pick, Geno Smith. And look, I liked Darnold as a value option. He was cheaper, younger, and didn't cost a draft pick. But if Brady says he's out, I can live with that. He's earned the benefit of the doubt. Plus, the real key here is coaching. Darnold thrived under Kevin O'Connell. If we'd somehow hired O'Connell or gotten Kyle Shanahan, maybe he could have worked here too. But we didn't. What we did get is Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, a proven combo that's worked before. So the real bet isn't just on Geno, it's on recreating that environment that made him successful in Seattle. So the bottom line is, this was probably the best case scenario available. Stafford would have cost too much and only been here for a year. Darnold was a gamble. Geno gives us a bridge, 2, maybe 3 years of decent quarterback play while the rest of the roster matures. And maybe, just maybe, he plays well enough to keep us in the hunt. Now, here's my final take. This season is going to define the future of a lot of careers. Malcolm Koonce is either going to get paid or get replaced. Michael Mayer is either going to carve out a role or get lost in Bauer's shadow. And Geno Smith is either going to silence the doubters or prove Brady right for being cautious. And let's not forget guys like Tyree Wilson, who are also under pressure. We just talked about him yesterday. He's got to step up, especially if there's any truth to the rumors about Christian Wilkins needing another surgery. But today, the spotlight's on these 3. So, let me ask you, who's got the most to prove? Drop it in the comments. If you're watching live, vote in the poll. If you're watching later, tell me who's under the most pressure and why. And remember, this isn't just about talent. It's about timing, coaching, opportunity, and execution. You only get so many shots in this league. These guys are on the clock. Thanks for riding with me tonight, Raider Nation. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop your thoughts down below. I'll be back next week with more breakdowns as we inch closer to camp. Until then, stay locked in.